Good morning, guys, and welcome to today's video. You know, it seems like almost every profession comes with its own set of specialized tools that you need to do that job. Whether you're a mechanic or a carpenter, those sets of tools are obvious. We all kind of know about what that stuff is. But what if you're raising livestock or cattle? What kind of tools do you need then? That's what we're talking about today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. So usually working cattle entails getting them in the chute and doctoring them for some reason. That seems like that's about probably 90% of what we do is either doctoring or vaccinating, and both of those things typically involve syringes. So I'm pretty sure that counts as a tool, and that's the first thing that we're going to talk about is syringes. Now, there's two different types of syringes, basically. I mean, there's probably more, but essentially they're all going to fall into one of two categories. That is disposable syringes and non-disposable syringes. So these disposable syringes are really nice. I use these for antibiotics most often because typically, if I'm lucky, the antibiotic dosage is just going to be for one animal at a time or maybe two. And I don't need a big pistol grip style syringe to hold that much medicine. So these are just plastic, and you screw the needle onto them like any other syringe, and when you're done with them, chuck them. The other style of syringe are these pistol grip style, and I really like these for vaccinations because you can load 50 cc's in here, and then on this little dial you can set how much each squeeze of the trigger administers. So you can go from 1 to 5 cc's. And I believe my vaccinations are typically between 2 and 5 cc's per cow. So these are nice. I can just set this at like 4 or whatever. And then each time I pull the trigger, it gives me that pre-measured amount. So really great for vaccinations when you're doing a bunch of animals in a row. A little bit off topic, but while I have this syringe in my hand, I just wanted to tell you guys this. So these non-disposable syringes have this plunger in the glass tube. You can see as you squeeze the trigger, the plunger pushes the medicine out through the needle. Well, when you clean these syringes, it's a good idea to lubricate this plunger so that it slides in the glass tube really easily. And what you use to lubricate it, you can either use whatever you use, use it sparingly, but it's mineral oil or vegetable oil is what they recommend to keep these things sliding good in the tubes. Now, syringes are all well and good, but you're probably not going to be able to administer an injection or give a shot if you can't get the animal in the chute. So what you're going to need to do that is some sort of a stock whip, and I've got 3 different kinds that I want to show you. So the first is just a regular stock whip, and this is a fiberglass handle that has a soft rope end on it that allows you to kind of make a whipping, cracking sound that's pretty effective in getting animals to move. The nice thing about these is that they're light and you can really move around good with them and, you know, go from this side to that side. They're really good for that. The next style is the paddle. Now these are a lot heavier and a little more cumbersome than the whip, but what's nice about these is they make that rattle sound, and that's really effective at getting cattle to move. There's an instinctual response from cows, or probably most herd animals, when they hear that rattle and they move, and I don't know if it's because they think it's a snake or what it is, but it'll definitely get them moving. Last, we have the hot shot, and I only really use this as a last resort on an animal that just will not move. I think it's more humane to give them one little pop with the hot shot than to sit there and whip on them for 20 minutes to try to get them to move. This doesn't hurt them. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, I think, that surprises them, and they're not used to it. And it's really effective at getting them to move. But like I said before, I will only use this as a last resort. In fact, I probably only use this about once a year, and all the times that I work cattle, usually I don't need it, but it's just for that special situation when somebody really doesn't want to cooperate. This is what you need. If you're going to raise cattle, sooner or later you are going to need to move them, whether it's to another pasture, to a sale barn, to finally get that paycheck, or whatever it may be. You're going to need a nice stock trailer. So there's a couple things to consider with a stock trailer, and the first, maybe most important thing, is when it's completely full, as heavy as it will go, can your truck pull it? Obviously, if your truck can't pull it, it doesn't do you much good. Now, the other thing that I like to think about is the length of the trailer. So I have a 16-foot here. My truck would pull a bigger trailer, but what I like about the 16 is that it's more maneuverable, and the way that my corral system is set up over there, I need to make some sharp turns to get it backed up to where I load the cattle. So keeping maneuverability and what your truck can handle in mind, my recommendation is get the biggest trailer that either category will allow. Now, if you raise cattle, or quite honestly any type of animal that requires fence, means that sooner or later you're going to be fixing fence. Now, there are a lot of tools out there for fixing fence, and a lot of different ones that I use. Honestly, that could probably be its own video because there's so many. But my favorite one by far is this wire splicing tool. The way that these work, or what they're for, is for fixing wires that are broken. So you can take one end of your broken wire and you clip it in here. That'll lock down. Same thing on this side with the other end of the broken wire. Then you take your handle and ratchet them together. So that pulls them tight. You can make your splice here, or tie the wire in other words, and you get your wire good as new. Now, this is something that I've talked about time and time again, but you guys know I couldn't make a video about the essential things to have when raising cattle without mentioning the squeeze chute. In fact, one of you left in the comments, and I can't remember who it was now, but your vet told you something. It was a saying that I really liked, and it went something like, whether you have 1 cow or whether you have 100, you need at least 1 squeeze chute. Now, if you're new to cattle videos or farming videos and you're not sure what a squeeze chute is used for, let me explain it to you. The way these are used are the animal will walk into the chute and their head will be trapped, and then these 2 panels on the side will close and squeeze on their body. Now, the reason that we want to do this is if we have to give them an injection, or if we have to perform some sort of veterinary activity like pulling a calf, doctoring a hoof, or anything like that. This will hold the animal still and allow us to do that safely. There are a few options if you don't have a chute of ways to doctor cattle, but in my opinion, none of them are as good as having this on your property and being able to doctor the cattle the right way the first time. Now, there are probably hundreds of things that I didn't mention in this video that cattlemen use, maybe even on a daily basis, but these 5 or 6, whatever it ended up being, 5 or 6 things that I mentioned in this video are the things that I really wouldn't want to live without, and some things you just can't live without. Now, if you're somebody that's starting up a small herd or a big herd or whatever, these are the things that you should be looking at buying before you even get your animals home. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.